Okay, hello everyone, guys. Hello everyone. How are you all? So, I welcome you again in the class third of IEIFS most important topics related to your examination. So, again, I have told you that you have to mention some topics which you think it is very important for your examination, right? So, this is IEIFS important topic class third for you all. So, let's start discussing. The very first thing is, let's talk about the economic reforms, right? So economic reforms is actually a process in which a government actually accept that there is some declining role of the state, and then they just took some measure to revive the economy. Economic reform is actually process in which the role of private sector is expanded in the economy, plus the government is actually restructuring the market position of the economy. Then it is known as the economic reform, right? Now, when we are talking about the economic reform, it was implemented in India in 1991, and the main name, if I'm telling you, for the 1991 economic reforms were the PV Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh. So they both together implemented the economic reforms in year 1991. Now, there was various factors due to which economic reforms were there. So this was the question which was asked in the previous exam cycle, that what are the different type of factors which actually leads to what, which actually leads to the economic reforms in India. So when we are talking about the different factors which lead to the economic reforms of India, so first factor, there was adverse balance of payment. Second, there was poor performance of the public sector. Third, there was a drop in change in foreign exchange reserve. Fourth, there are large government debts, inflationary pressures. Third, there was some stringent condition which has been laid by World Bank, and these were all the conditions due to which 1991 economic reforms were there. 1991 economic reforms has three major things, that is known as LPG policy, means liberalization, privatization, and globalization policy. So when we are talking about these three main pillars, liberalization, globalization, and privatization, first, liberalization means what? Liberalization means when we are removing the various restrictions that has been imposed on trade before 1991. So we all know that before 1991, government of India was actually not promoting import and export, right? And plus there was various factors due to which the private sectors were not allowed into different industrial sectors. There were monopoly of the government everywhere. Resources was dominated by the government, and there were unnecessary restrictions, like you can say there was license raj quota that has been actually implemented during that liberalization phase, right? So when we are talking about the liberalization means what? Liberalization actually means when these unnecessary restriction on trade has been removed, so as the private sectors and are actually easily, or individual just easily enter into different sectors of the industries, then it is called as liberalization. Liberalization, just in a word, if I'm telling you, it is actually what? Removing of restriction. Liberalization is what? Removing of restrictions. Now let's talk about the private sector or privatization. Privatization means giving more opportunities to the private sector, because when we are talking about before 1991, India was actually dominated by the private sector, sorry, dominated by the government. Government has the monopoly in different sectors. Each and every sector has the monopoly of the government, and because of this government monopoly, privatization has been introduced. Privatization means giving entry to the private sector so that private and public, they both together work in one sector, then it is known as privatization. Now, let's talk about the globalization. Globalization means integration of various economies of the world. When we are talking about the globalization, globalization refers to what? Globalization refers to integration. When you are connecting your domestic economy with world's economy or with the rest of the economy, then it is known as what? Then it is known as the globalization. Clear? So liberalization means removing of the restriction. Privatization is giving entry to the private sector so that they both together work in a market. And globalization means what? Globalization means integration of various economies of the, right? Now, next thing, when we are talking about this globalization concept, this is a very important concept for you all. Again, you will get question from this thing, that what is globalization. When we are talking about the globalization, it means we want to integrate various economies of the world, right? Interconnectedness of your economy with world economy. So world economies, culture, inhabitants, they are interconnecting with each other. How? Okay. And then there is a cross border trade in goods and services, technology, flow of investments, people, knowledge, etc. Then this is known as what? This is known as globalization. So globalization means you are connecting your economy with world economy. Now, when we are talking about the globalization, it is actually used to describe the movement of people, labor, or the information technology across the international trade. So, globalization has larger cultural, political, and environmental implication. So, when we are talking about the globalization, they also enhance social justice, because when people move from one country to another, they are saying what? They have some human right issue. For example, there is something, there can be something done wrong to themselves. So by the globalization, we actually uh, are alerted that our Indian people are living abroad, so their rights are now the responsibility of the government. So these are all the benefit of the globalization. So what are the factors leading to the economic reform? Very important for you all. What is LPG policy? Means liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Very important for all of you. Then, what is a globalization concept? Right? Very important, means the flow, which is the cross border flow, means when you are connecting various economies of the world. That is called as the globalization. Then, globalization in reverse gear. And globalization in reverse gear is called as deglobalization, yani opposite to globalization, right? When we are talking about globalization in reverse gear, it means that we are reducing the dependency and integration among particular units throughout the world. Means we are reducing the dependency, we are reducing the integration among the particular units throughout the world. That is called as deglobalization, right? Now, when we are talking about in deglobalization, government actually enacts such laws which restrict or prohibit international trade. So they are said to be participating in protectionism measure. Now, protectionism takes three main forms. Protectionism they take three main forms: tariffs, import quotas, and non-tariff barriers, right? And protectionism, the what is the effect of protectionism? Again, very important thing. So the effect of protectionism is decline in the trade. They leads to decline in the trade, price rise, necessities for the provision of subsidy on for protected industries. So these are called as the globalization in reverse here, right? So today we have discussed this topic, these topic, like we have discussed the globalization, we have discussed the protectionism, deglobalization, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, and factors leading to this. And this is very important for you all, right? So, thank you so much, everyone, whoever has joined this session. Now, you can also participate and you can also recommend me some topics which you think it is important for me to cover for your examination, right? You can just comment in the comment box of this video about different types of the topic you want to study and you think it is important for the examination. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Take care.